Throughout history, many teachers have spoken wise words, but only one healed the sick with a touch, with a word, and even from a distance. The Gospels record that wherever Jesus went, the sick came to him, and they were never turned away. This is the true Gospel-recorded account of every healing miracle performed by Jesus. Jesus began his ministry by reaching those society had rejected. A man with leprosy, an outcast, came to him, kneeling and begging to be made clean. Instead of turning away in disgust, as was the custom, Jesus reached out and touched him. "I am willing," he said. "Be clean." Immediately, the leprosy left him, and his skin was restored. In another town, a Roman centurion, a man of authority, approached Jesus with great humility. He asked Jesus to heal his servant, who was paralyzed and suffering terribly at home. The centurion believed Jesus didn't even need to be present. He could heal with just a word. Jesus was amazed at his faith. "Go," he told the centurion. "Let it be done just as you believed it would." And at that very moment, miles away, the servant was healed. Later, Jesus entered the home of his disciple, Peter, and found Peter's mother-in-law sick in bed, with a high fever. Without any elaborate ritual, Jesus simply touched her hand. The fever left her instantly. She felt so well, in fact, that she got up and began to serve them. As evening fell, the news spread like wildfire. Crowds gathered outside the house, bringing all who were sick or afflicted. The Gospels tell us that Jesus laid his hands on each one and healed them all. On another occasion, the crowd was so thick that 4 friends couldn't get their paralyzed companion anywhere near Jesus. So, in an act of incredible faith and determination, they climbed onto the roof, tore a hole in it, and lowered the man on his mat right in front of him. Seeing their faith, Jesus first offered something deeper than physical healing. He said, "Take heart, son, your sins are forgiven." To prove he had the authority to forgive sins, he then commanded, "Get up, take your mat, and go home." And the paralyzed man stood up, picked up his mat, and walked away in full view of everyone. Jesus didn't stop healing, even when it was controversial. On a Sabbath day, a day of rest, he was in a synagogue and met a man with a withered, shriveled hand. The religious leaders watched him closely, hoping to find a reason to accuse him of breaking the Sabbath laws. Knowing their thoughts, Jesus asked them, "Is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath, or to do evil, to save a life, or to destroy it?" Then, he turned to the man and said, "Stretch out your hand." As the man stretched it out, his hand was completely restored, as healthy as the other. On another Sabbath, Jesus saw a woman in the synagogue who had been bent over for 18 long years, unable to stand up straight. He called her forward and said, "Woman, you are set free from your infirmity." He laid his hands on her, and immediately she straightened up and began praising God. Even in the house of a prominent Pharisee, on the Sabbath, Jesus healed a man suffering from dropsy, an abnormal swelling of the body. He showed them all that mercy matters more than religious rules. Jesus restored sight to the blind again and again. He encountered 2 blind men on the road who cried out, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." He touched their eyes, and their sight was restored because of their faith. Near Jericho, a blind beggar named Bartimaeus shouted for Jesus to have mercy. When Jesus called for him, Bartimaeus threw off his cloak, a symbol of his old life, and ran to him. "Your faith has healed you," Jesus said, and immediately he could see. Perhaps most powerfully, Jesus healed a man who was born blind. When his disciples asked who had sinned, the man or his parents, Jesus answered that this had happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. He then healed the man, proving that his mission was to bring light into darkness. Jesus also healed a man who was deaf and could hardly speak. Taking him aside from the crowd, Jesus touched the man's ears and tongue, looked up to heaven, and with a deep sigh, said, "Be opened." Instantly, the man could hear clearly and speak plainly. Many of the illnesses Jesus encountered were caused by spiritual oppression. Early in his ministry, he healed a man possessed by an unclean spirit right in the middle of a synagogue service. He silenced the spirit and commanded it to come out, and the man was freed. In the region of the Gerasenes, he met a man tormented by a legion of demons, so violent that he lived among the tombs. Jesus cast the demons out, and the man was found sitting at his feet, dressed and in his right mind. When his own disciples failed to heal a boy suffering from violent seizures, Jesus explained that some spiritual battles require deep faith and prayer. He then rebuked the spirit, and the boy was completely restored from that moment on. And then there was the woman who had been suffering from bleeding for 12 long years. Desperate, she pushed through the crowd, thinking, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be healed." The moment she touched the edge of his garment, she felt the power go out from him, and her bleeding stopped. Jesus turned and asked who had touched him. The woman, trembling, fell at his feet and told him the whole story. He looked at her with kindness and said, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." Time and again, Jesus connected healing to faith and gratitude. He once healed 10 men with leprosy, but only one, a Samaritan, returned to fall at Jesus' feet and give thanks. Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? To the one who returned, he said, "Rise and go. Your faith has made you well." Moved by the great faith of a Syrophoenician woman who begged for her daughter's healing, Jesus granted her request from a distance. He also healed a royal official's son who was close to death. The official begged Jesus to come to his home, but Jesus simply told him, "You may go. Your son will live." The man took Jesus at his word, and on his way home, his servants met him with the news that his son was alive and well. They told him the fever had left at the exact hour Jesus had spoken the word. These were not tricks. They were not myths or legends. They were recorded historical events, powerful signs that revealed Jesus' divine authority and deep compassion. Every single healing points to the heart of God, a heart that desires to restore, to forgive, and to make us whole. Each miracle was a glimpse of a new creation, where sickness and suffering will one day be no more. If these stories of healing and hope inspire you, remember that this incredible power came from an even greater love. If you found this video meaningful, please give it a like and subscribe for more stories from the Gospels. Feel free to share this message of hope with someone who might need it today. Thank you for watching.